Hello and welcome. This is Julie Kay with another episode of No Leftover Scraps. This is episode number 7, in which I share teapot embellishments that can be used in a number of different paper crafts. And for this episode, I decided to work with some purple paper that I had left over from a shabby chic birthday card that I created. I will link that birthday card below in the description box in case you guys are interested in checking out my original project. But for these, I decided to, with the leftover paper, I wanted to make some sort of little more vintage type themed embellishment. And so I chose to work with a teapot die that I have. And so I created tons of different little teapots using this leftover paper. And then I also went through paper scraps from years past and grabbed out any purples that look like they would match this leftover scrap purple paper that I had left over from the card that I created. And I was able to make quite a few embellishments. And then with these embellishments, I did actually start making some projects with them. So I will also show you guys those projects. But basically, these are all pretty much the same with a couple little subtle different details. But I cut out the die cut first with chipboard, just using some leftover packaging, like cereal boxes, those kind of things. And then I cut out a whole bunch of different teapots using the leftover paper. So like here's the stripe paper, and then this came from some leftover paper. This was leftover paper. They're all leftover papers. And then I decorated them up by adding flowers that I punched out, and also you can see a little bit of some green behind there, some little foliage that was a fir branch that I punched that I have, and also some lace trim that's left over. And then on this one, I just chose to put the flower down here with a little scallop circle behind it. And I did add flat back pearls to the flowers and also the top of the teapot here. So I'm not going to go through each one of these because you guys kind of get the idea, I think. But like I said, I made quite a few, and these were the ones I haven't done anything with yet. So I'll move those aside. And so then what I ended up doing then is going through my stash and looking for what I could add them to. So I did have these paper bag pockets, and I believe I bought them at Walmart. And so I inked the edges with the same color of purple. I did some layering with the die cuts and added my little teapot on top there. And so this one's exactly the same, but I added eyelash trim for just another little extra added look to it. So I created some of those with my teapots. I also created a couple of paper clips. And then I also cut these out with chipboard on the back side, but then I cut out one more piece of the teapot just to cover up the back side and make it look clean on the paper clip. So I created those. I also added some of the teapots to some little 3x3 cards. And then it says "You're terrific" on the inside. This one I chose to use a little flat back flower embellishment that I had versus the paper flowers that I made. Both very similar. Again, if you look on the back sides of these were what some of the original paper looked like that I had. The stripes, and this one has a little flower and butterfly theme to it. I'll go through all the pads and the supplies I used at the end of the video for those that are interested. So I created quite a few of those little 3x3 cards. And then I also went a little step further and cut out some more of my bag toppers, decorated them, and then added the little teapots on the inside so that I can give them out in Happy Mail. So I've already have them packaged and ready to go, so when I send out Happy Mail I can send these out to some people. And while I was working with that paper, so that was my main stuff, was the teapots, but I am also working on a junk journal that kind of goes with the same color blue, or not blue, but purple color. And so I wanted to make a few embellishments that I could stick in that journal when I get to it. So I did create this little bag like the one I showed you with the teapot, but instead I cut out some of the purple scraps. And this little piece right here, this flower, was probably the only piece that was left over from that original project. All the other purples came from my stash, but I just figured I'd show it in this episode while I was working on stuff. I also created like a tuck spot then that you would glue to the top of your junk journal page, and you can create this little banner tuck spot. And so these two pieces right here were part of the original purple paper that I had right here that I cut out. And this scrap right back here was left over from a previous project, and I had already cut it out in the shape of the banner. I do that a lot with my scraps, is just cut out pieces, and then eventually I dig through them when I'm working on my journals to try and find something. And this one seemed like it matched these two, so that's why I added it. Punched out some more butterflies and decorated them up, and I add the little sentiment, "Be your beautiful self," on that one. And you could also add like a little strip of paper and a paper clip on here and make this into a paper clip if you wanted to, an altered paper clip. So I did that one. I also did this paper clip one, and again, I did not glue down my little flap in the back yet until I know which way I want my paper clip to go, which I think is, I learned that from Andrea, who's Artie Mays here on YouTube. I think that's just a great idea. So I've been doing that now since I saw her video way back when. Not to glue down your paper clip until you're actually ready to use it in your journal, so that you can either put it on the right side or the left side. But so then I did create this one with some of the leftover paper scraps. I had this piece back here and this piece right here. And so then I did end up cutting out another piece of purple paper from leftover scraps and the little bird in the background with some eyelash trim to finish it off. I made another little butterfly embellishment while I was at it for the journal. Another little basic butterfly. I've shown these before on my channel. But while I was punching and making stuff, I know that I'll be able to use this in some sort of layered collage thing inside the journal, so it's just nice to have a couple already ready-made to go. And then the last couple things that I did were create pockets. So these are the flip-up pockets that you can flip up and actually journal in, so you would just stick it in the corner of your journal. And if you were to just glue it right here and leave this part open, you could tuck something inside the pocket like this. So I created this one. The background paper is the leftover scraps, and then just some of the little flowers that I punched out, and more purple pieces of cardstock that were left in my scrap pile. But I did stamp that little sentiment and the little bird. Here was the other one where I die cut out the bird and the sentiment and punched out some more of the flowers. And so what I did for those little tiny flowers is, you can see here, I punched out or die cut out the little teapots on this leftover scrap paper was this size. And so I cut those three out, and that's all that fit on there. But then I went through again and used a little paper punch to punch out all the little flowers. So I like doing that. I find that it's always nice to have some sort of go-to paper punch, and I'm always using flowers, so that seems to be one of the punches that I grab all the time, that's small, to use up my tiny little bits and pieces of my paper scrap. So I feel really comfortable throwing this away. There's not much else left I can do with this paper scrap right here. So that's all I have to show you for that part, but if you guys want to stick around to see exactly the supplies that I use, I will go through all those real quick. So the main die that I use on those teapots is a diamond die. Not real big, you can see when you compare it to the size of my hand. And this is the company. I don't have, there's no numbers or anything on this for packaging. So it looks, you can find her on Facebook if you just look up Diamond Dies, or also diamonddies@gmail.com. if you have specific questions about that die. But I love that die. It was a lot of fun to work with. As you can see on these bag topper dies right here, I stamped the word "You're terrific," and I got that from this Fiskars set. Here's the little stamp that I used. And this one is called Latte Love, like coffee latte, L-A-T-T-E, love. And I don't see a specific number, but that's what that one's called. And I think you can buy these at Joann's is where I picked this one up. A couple of those birds that I made on those junk journal pieces right here. And also on that little piece, the birds came from a couple different companies. And of course, if you guys already have a bird punch or bird die cuts, use what you have. You don't necessarily have to go out and buy anything new. But this one, the nestled bird, and this one is a Poppy Stamps one, and the number is 817. This one's a memory box one, and this one was called Forest Bird, and it's a little bit bigger. And the number is 98340. I also used this little bird right here from the Spellbinders die. This one's called Bird Sanctuary. And the number is S5033. This little sentiment down here comes from, let me see if I still have it sitting here. It's a close to my heart one. I just purchased that one actually at a rummage sale. And it just says, "May flowers always line your path and songbirds serenade you every step along the way." So it's a close to my heart, and the number is B1420, and it's called Hello Tweety. In case you guys are wondering on that. This one that says Dream, I forgot to pull that one. It's a die cut. I've shown this one before on my channel. But it is Momenta, and I believe you buy these also at Hobby Lobby, and usually you get like a set of three words like dream, believe, or travel, explore. So that's where that one came from, but a brand called Momenta. And I don't believe that those ones have numbers on them anyways, so, but Momenta is the name of the company for that one. I did already show you guys this die on my last episode of No Leftover Scraps, because I did bag toppers and using up Happy Mail. So this one is called Treat Topper Die, and it's D0401 from Avery L. I really love this die. It was a little expensive, but I am definitely using it, so it will pay for itself eventually. On these little Your Terrific tags up here, the little purple piece right here, this background one, is a Spellbinders one. It's one of my favorite Spellbinders that I use all the time, Labels 33. And it's this one right here. So it's like the third biggest one in the set. I use that one all the time, and I actually just leave that one sitting out. I have magnet sheets close to where I die cut, and so I do leave that one out because it's the perfect size for a lot of different sentiments. And then the inside little oval right here, I didn't have any Spellbinders that were exactly the same size as that one. And so what I ended up using is my friend Renee, who is Wanna Scrap here on YouTube, had gifted me this Make It Pop-Up cutting die set. And I don't have the dies out with me right now, but you can see it. The dies actually do this little pop-up thing. But it did come with a set of circles, and so or ovals, and so I did use those ovals on this, and I'm probably going to leave those ovals sitting out because they're a nice perfect size for small sentiments. So I used that one. This is one of my favorite little banner dies from Spellbinders. I've shown this one before on my channel, but that's the tag that I created. And it's called Decorative Swallowtails. And it's a designer series from the Wedding Collection. And the number is S5-258. And it's Amazing Paper. Grace is the designer for that collection. And then on. I think the only other dies I have to show you guys were these background ones, these round ones or oval ones that I used on the bags. And those ones are Spellbinders dies. I don't have the exact numbers offhand. If I have a chance, I'll try and look them up. But they are the lacy ovals. I don't have the packaging because these ones are older ones for me, and I've had them for a long time before I started saving the packaging. But I used the lacy ovals, and it was this size right here that I used. And then I layered one of the inside ones up here, inside there. And I have both the large oval set and the small oval set. And I think I probably used the small oval one, but it looks pretty much like this one. But it nested inside that a lot easier. So the paper that I originally used on that birthday card came from DCWV, the Chateau Lavender Stack. And I used, as you can see up here, this stripe paper, which I don't know, there's no more left of it, but here's a green sheet that looked very similar to it. And then I also had used this paper right here. And then out of this paper pack, this Recollections Habitat paper pack, which was a hot buy at Michael's, so I got it for $5 when I originally got it. I used this purple paper right here. So those all came from the original card, and so those were the papers that I used up the paper scraps for. So guys, all thanks so much for watching. If you have any specific questions or you'd like to actually see how I put together one of the teapots, let me know and I can do a little quick tutorial. If not, you guys all have a wonderful day and thanks so much for watching.